This is Scott the Fix-It Guy. Today we're going to be working on an older General Electric oven where the bake is no longer working. Probably needs a new igniter. So the tools we're going to have, one is a new igniter, which is part 53039-35066, and we'll need some wire strippers, standard head screwdriver, flashlight's useful, and Phillips head screwdriver. So we're going to get to work. First thing, we're going to remove the oven door. So we're just going to tilt it toward us about 25 degrees, and then it locks into that position, and just pull up. It comes right off those hinges. Make sure we unplug it. We're going to take out the racks from inside. Trying to get to this lower area here. So we're going to use standard head screwdriver to loosen these. They're already finger loose. Get those out. And then we're going to remove this bottom panel so that we have access. So some of these you lift up on the back, and this model is kind of unusual. You lift up in the front, and you can slide it off. And then the igniter lives right back here. So now I'm just loosening the fasteners that hold on the igniter. This one has a Phillips head and a 1/4 inch. It's usually just 1/4 inch, but this might have been repaired before. Taking out that Phillips head. That one out. And we're going to take out the 1/4 inch, and then the igniter will come right out. Get that screw. Comes out, and then here's the igniter, and the wires are held in with some packing material. I'm just going to pull the packing material toward us. We can repack it, pulling those wires closer to us. Here's our packing material. There's our wires, and we're just going to undo these ceramic wire nuts and then wire in a new igniter. Sometimes this has been replaced before, but usually you don't have these wire nuts, you just have a wire coming, and you can just cut the wire. So we're just going to undo these wire nuts, and then we'll splice in a new igniter, and then we'll put that packing material back in. So we got the wire nuts off. And then here's the modular connector that you would normally find. Some igniters, when you buy them, actually have this modular connector. You don't have to splice the wires, but these generic ones, you splice them. It's pretty easy though. So I'm going to remove that modular connector, get this out here where we can see a little bit better, and we'll splice in this new one. So we're just going to be reusing this piece. Now it looks pretty banged up. Looks like the metal's kind of messed up right here. They last a long time though. It's usually about 10 years. So the new one is a generic one, but it's pretty much a copy of what we already have. It comes with new wire nuts, which are good to use. We're going to clean up these wire contacts. You could re-splice these too. If you feel like the wire is broken, you can just splice a little bit deeper down. And then with the new one, we don't need to have that much wire. So we're going to cut those, giving it about 6-7 inches of wire. And we're going to remove some of the insulation. Expose about 1/4 to a 1/2 inch. 1/4 inch is probably fine. Put in our new one. Yeah, these wire nuts are really cool. They're ceramic, so they can deal with a lot of heat. You twist that on righty-tighty. I'm going to get it on to where basically it won't turn any further. It's really tight. You got to make sure there's no wire exposed anywhere, because if it touches the metal and grounds, it'll short circuit. You don't have to put electrical tape, because electrical tape would probably melt. But you do want to get that ceramic cap to go all the way over all the exposed metal where it's a tight fit. That's really good. So we're all ready. We're going to put this new igniter in. And give it a test. So all we have to do is plug in the modular connection here, push all the wires back in to the cavity, and we'll repack it with that packing material, which just keeps heat from coming back in on the wires. Just pushing that all in. There's a little sheet metal box back behind here that all these wires are going into. There we go. Okay, so we're just going to push this stuff back in. Pretty easy. And now we can put our igniter into position, and we can put the fasteners back in. And then we're pretty much done. Just put it back together. So on this particular model, this is a much older model, it's a pretty easy procedure. Sometimes you have to do a little bit more disassembly to get to these igniters. That part that we saw though, this flat igniter, is a generic one that works for a lot of models, even for some of the European models like Bosch. And some GE, the more modern GE ovens need a round igniter. It's important to use, if the previous one was round, to use a round one. If the previous one was flat, to use a flat one. But they also have the generic round igniter that works for almost any model that requires a round one. Get the igniter in position. Now we're going to give it a little test. These also have a fuse on them, so if the fuse is blown, we'll have to replace that. But this may have done the trick. Plug the power back in. Ask it to go to 350. Anywhere up there is good. You could hear it click, so the fuse is intact, power is going. Yeah, there we go. We have igniter glowing, so we have power for sure. It gets brighter and brighter, and at a certain point it's bright enough and hot enough to allow gas to flow in. There we go. And then we have ignition. Yeah. Cool. And we'll just put it back together. So we're just putting this one back together now. Igniter's working great. Got to make sure these little metal tabs go into the frame. So in this model, the screws are on the front. Usually it's the other way around. It's going to go in at a little bit of an angle. And this is a GE older oven. I would say maybe 30 years old. They just keep going. Put in our little standard head screws to hold it in the front. Just tighten down. Okay, we'll get the rack back in there. Usually there's 2 racks. This one just has 1. And now we'll put this back on. So we just have to slide it back on carefully, because otherwise these things will spring on you. Just take your time. Slide it on. There we go. Cool. We'll give it a test. So thanks so much for watching this repair, and please subscribe to our channel when you get a chance. Thanks again.